I would say early in the fight, Canelo, and earlier in his career, Canelo. But he hasn't been that kind of fighter in recent years.
It's going to be interesting, I'll tell you that.
What do you think?
I don't know. You know, it's a big jump to go from 54, which was a step up from 47, right?
Now
so it
he's
goes to
going
54, and now he's going to
68?
68. That's so much weight.
A lot of weight.
Do you think Terence Crawford can beat Canelo Alvarez?
Yeah, I think he can win.
Okay.
I don't know if he's going to win, but I think he can win.
Max Kellerman, joining Joe Rogan, delivered a bold prediction for the blockbuster showdown between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, one that caught many fans off guard. Known for spotting nuances others overlook, the veteran analyst suggested this fight could reshape both men's legacies and even determine boxing's next pound-for-pound king. Kellerman praised Canelo's devastating power and deep experience against elite competition, acknowledging why most see him as the favorite. But then he flipped the script, highlighting Crawford's adaptability and razor-sharp ring IQ as the real X factor. In Kellerman's view, while Canelo has ruled with consistency, it's Crawford's ability to make adjustments mid-fight and break opponents down systematically that could ultimately tilt the fight in his favor.
Okay, so then a little bit of this and that between Canelo and Crawford. I'll give you a list of attributes, and then tell me who do you feel is best in that attribute. First attribute, best jab.
Crawford.
Best defense.
Crawford. Nowadays, Crawford. I would say early in the fight, Canelo, and earlier in his career, Canelo. But he hasn't been that kind of fighter in recent years. Although Crawford is also hittable. With any fighter, when you talk about their defense, the question is not, can they be hit with a shot? You take punches. Everyone, the greatest defensive fighters ever get hit. Pernell Whitaker, Willie Pep, Floyd Mayweather, they all get hit. The question is, can you hit them with combinations? And both guys are hard to hit. With the two-piece, hard to hit.
So who has the best footwork out of the two?
In terms of cutting off the ring, last fight notwithstanding, Canelo has gotten much better at cutting off the ring. But, you know, early in his career, he had a problem with that and was much more comfortable counterpunching. But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford.
Okay.
But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guy.
Yeah. So you briefly mentioned Canelo's power. So who, I would assume Canelo has.
You'd have to think, unless Crawford, Crawford was on a knockout streak until he moved up to junior middleweight and then failed to stop Madrimov. So, and Canelo, though he has not stopped anyone in a while, we've seen he's a real puncher at 68.
As far as speed, who has a better speed?
You would imagine Crawford, given the fact that he is the naturally smaller fighter, and I would assume he could maintain that advantage going into this fight.
Last attribute, ring IQ.
They both have sky-high ring IQs. If I have to, Crawford. If you ask me again, there's a reason that I think Crawford's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world.
Max Kellerman is set to make a high-profile return to boxing commentary as part of Netflix's broadcast team for the Canelo Alvarez vs. Terence Crawford super fight on September 13, 2025. This marks his first major on-air role since his departure from ESPN in 2023. Kellerman will join John Onik and Andre Ward as a fight analyst, bringing his trademark insight and decades of experience to what is expected to be one of the most watched boxing events in recent history. The announcement of his comeback, Kellerman described the matchup as a perfect storm, while making a bold declaration. In his view, Terence Crawford currently holds the pound-for-pound crown. He acknowledged that Canelo Alvarez once wore that mantle but emphasized that Crawford has since risen to the very top.
The first member of our broadcast team. He is the best boxing analyst in the sport. Ladies and gentlemen, Max Kellerman.
All right, so I know you guys are excited about this fight, but I don't think you understand what a big deal it is. This is a perfect storm, First of all, Turki Al-Sheikh, we're lucky he happens to be a boxing fan. None of this happens if he doesn't happen to be a boxing fan. It's just none of us are here. Nick Khan, best in the business. Dana White is the greatest combat sports promoter of my lifetime. And it's his first ever boxing promotion. So that's who's behind what you're gonna see. Do you know how best pound for pound fighter in the world? The most recent one. Bud Crawford. Apologies to the monster and Usyk. Bud Crawford has my vote for best pound for pound. Who was the best pound for pound before Bud? Canelo Alvarez, universally recognized that way. But it's not just these two guys, the last two best pound for pound fighters in the world. There haven't been that many. Before Canelo, who do you have? Before Canelo, Floyd or Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather. Before, you could take the lineage back. There've only been, 25 or 30 fighters who ever lived who you said that's the best pound for pound fighter in the world. These are two of them, the last two. And they're gonna fight in Las Vegas on September 13th. Canelo is 62-2. 2 draws, 62-2. So was Marvin Hagler when Sugar Ray Leonard moved up to fight him and they produced one of the biggest spectacles in the history of boxing. This fight is a perfect storm. I could not be more excited to be a part of it.
Joe Rogan has openly leaned toward Terence Crawford in the build-up to the Canelo Alvarez showdown, citing Crawford's elite versatility and ring intelligence as key advantages. Rogan argues that Canelo has slowed in recent years, evolving from a sharp combination puncher into a fighter who relies more heavily on single, powerful shots. In contrast, he praises Crawford as one of the most fluid switch hitters since Marvin Hagler, seamlessly shifting between orthodox and southpaw while remaining equally dangerous from either stance. On a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Rogan and veteran commentator Jim Lampley debated Crawford's chances. Rogan highlighted Crawford's precision, IQ, and newly bulked-up physique, believing those tools could allow him to outbox Canelo. Lampley, however, offered a more measured perspective. While admiring Crawford's brilliance and even comparing him to a modern Sugar Ray Robinson, he ultimately leaned toward Canelo, pointing to his power, counterpunching skills, and famously durable chin. Lampley also warned that Canelo's lower body strength could be a decisive factor in neutralizing Crawford's offense on fight night.
Yeah.
What about
Get away.
Crawford and Canelo?
What do you think of that?
Personally, I'm a big Crawford fan, so I'm going to lean his way. My only concern is just the size. It didn't look like Terrence's power transferred in the last fight, so
With
now it's coming
Majumov?
up some more. You know what I mean?
Part of the problem with that is Majumov's really good.
Yeah,
He's really fucking
I mean,
good.
but I just think Crawford is. It's weird to say against Canelo, but I think he's the better boxer, and I think he's the guy who can make the better in-fight adjustments if Canelo doesn't kill him.
It's gonna be interesting. Tell you that.
What do you think?
I don't know. You know, it's a big jump. Go from 54, which was step up from 47, right?
Now
So it
he's
goes
going
to
to
54. Now he's going to 68. That's so much weight.
A lot of weight.
But Terrence is. I think he's the best switch hitter since Hagler.
They claim Hagler was my favorite. They claim he's walking around like $190 or something.
Yep.
And you do know he's a wrestler.
In a separate interview, Jim Lampley expressed firm confidence that Canelo Alvarez would defeat Terence Crawford. While he praised Crawford as perhaps the most complete fighter in boxing today, Lampley argued that the decisive factors in this matchup are weight and experience. He pointed out that Canelo, naturally stronger at 168 pounds and battle-tested in countless high-stakes contests, carries the physical and mental advantages needed to blunt Crawford's versatility. For Lampley, Canelo's size, strength, and championship pedigree ultimately tilt the fight in his favor.
Smart. Absolutely, he's smart. He knows business as well as anybody. And so, no, it's not surprising that Canelo learned from Floyd and has employed some of that in the retention of his career. Canelo still knows how to make fireworks when he absolutely has to make fireworks. But at the end of the day, he's a counterpuncher. He's a great defender. He has the most solid punch resistance of anybody in the sport. Nobody's ever knocked him off balance. Nobody's ever really knocked him down. There's only one official knockdown in his career. It was because he bounced off the ropes when Jose Cotto hit him with a hard shot to the chest. And the referee employed a strict interpretation of the rules and said, oh, the ropes held you up, so that's a knockdown. He's never been put on his back by anybody. He rides horseback every morning. His legs are the strongest in the sport. You're not going to beat Canelo.
Legendary commentator Teddy Atlas has made it clear that while Canelo Alvarez is an exceptional fighter, Terence Crawford stands out even more and is not willing to bet against him. Atlas points to Crawford's rare blend of speed, adaptability, defensive angles, and mental toughness as potential game changers. He praises Crawford's razor-sharp ring IQ and seamless switch-hitting ability, calling him a special fighter whose mindset elevates him above the rest. Though Atlas acknowledges the challenge posed by the weight disparity, he maintains that Crawford's skill and character could ultimately tip the balance in his favor.
A little overrated. Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds.
Canelo's really good. But I think Crawford is special. I know he hasn't fought the resume everyone wants, but you have that or you don't have that ingredient. I think he has it. Canelo's really good. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? The greatness is within Crawford. It's in his desire, it's in his mind, it's in where he came from. I know he's moved up in weight class, carrying, but those he touched, I believe that he had.
Stephen A. Smith has predicted that Terence Crawford will outpoint Canelo Alvarez and win by decision. Speaking on the All the Smoke Fight podcast, Smith praised Canelo's greatness and power but argued that Crawford's speed, movement, and technical mastery, especially his ability to switch stances, would give him the advantage. He warned that Canelo's heavy reliance on power shots could work against him, reasoning, if you can box and you can move, you can beat Canelo. While acknowledging that Crawford has yet to fully acclimate to 168 pounds, Smith remained confident that skill, not size, will ultimately decide the fight.
What I think should be gone. The notion that Terence Bud Crawford should move up 3 weight classes, 21 pounds, to fight Canelo Alvarez. He's entirely too small. Jamel Charlo already proved that. Y'all remember that scene from Rocky? Remember that scene from Rocky 2? When Carl Weathers was Apollo Creed and his trainer was like, can I be honest? I saw you beat this man within an inch of his life. And he kept coming. He wouldn't go away. He's wrong for us, baby. He's wrong. Let it go. Apollo couldn't do it. And lost fight number 2. Trained him for Rocky 3 and then got killed in Rocky 4 by Drago because he couldn't let it go. Bud Crawford needs to let it go.